Looks a little grainy today. Yeah, the weather's not great. It's overcast, it's cold, it's gross. So I think the colors of everything that I show you should be pretty true, but I don't know that it's going to be particularly bright. But we will get through it today. I'm recording today. I want to get this stuff put away, and I want to show you what I have and what I brought back from the attic, because I went to the attic last weekend. Okay, so, hello Flosstube friends. Today is Thursday, December 11th, 2025. I am Audrey Marine. This is a channel all about cross stitch. This is episode number 38. Yeah, okay, welcome. I have noticed a little bump in numbers on YouTube, so thank you so much to all of my subscribers, new and old. And I have noticed a very large bump on Instagram, and I think this is why. I posted a photo of my Christmas display, this little tray with all its goodies included, and it's gone a bit bananas on Instagram. And I have noticed that I keep getting likes on it, even though I posted it several days ago, and I have a lot of new followers there. So thank you so much to everyone who has found me there and has started following me. I really appreciate it. This is my Christmas display, all sorts of goodness in a LaHaye's shaker box. Now last year I had my Christmas smalls displayed in a small wooden tray from Mary Cox, but this LaHaye's tray I managed to grab on a drop that he did on his website last December, I think it was. I remember I was at my mother's house frantically adding things to cart, and I managed to get this and one other piece. And I also know that I talked about most of these pieces in a Flosstube episode that I did last December. And I realized in that episode, I think it was episode 24, I'm wearing the same sweater. So this is now my Christmas Flosstube sweater. I thought about it and I was like, do I want to change? No, I don't care. And I believe I have the number 24 in my head because there was a lovely lady on Instagram who was stitching this Teresa Kogut piece, and she tagged me and she talked about how I talked about it apparently in episode 24. So if you want to know more about what's in this tray, I would head on over to that video. I will link it below. But I do have a couple new additions to this display this year, and I just want to highlight them. When I went to the attic last weekend, it was to go to the attic to shop, but also to meet an online friend. You know, Jordan Tattooed Stitcher. She has her own Flosstube channel. If you're not watching her, I will link her below and you can go and take a look. She's been doing Flosstube for several years now. She kind of started on the Mirabilia Soda Stitch style, and then has, within the last year or two, really just, she jumped headfirst into samplers, and now she's absolutely in love with samplers. So if you like the stuff that I show, you should go check her out. But Jordan stitched this for me and finished it herself, and she did a great job. I have never attempted finishing like this. I don't want to. And if I remember correctly, Jordan told me that this is an Autumn Lane Stitchery piece. So if you're interested, you can look them up. The other thing that she gave me were these little candy canes, and I love these. She said that her mother-in-law made them. Now, her mother-in-law has an Etsy shop. It is the Mary Crow, and I will link that below. If you're interested in these candy canes, you can check her out, or if this is not really your thing, she also has other decorative items, and she has things like floss drops and stuff like that if you're interested. But I just have them all tucked in here, and it's kind of a bummer that you can't see all the stitching, but I like how full the display is, and I like how everything's just kind of, you know, jumbled on top of each other. It looks really fun. Now this Teresa Kogut piece here, the Santa on the Reindeer, this is on a specially made board from Chantel 141, and while I glued Santa on the board, I had to paint it all. I glued Santa on the board, I glued this piece onto this board. I did not glue it on the peg, nor did I glue the peg into the base in which it sits, because I wanted to be able to store it flat. So if you are considering making those pieces, the Santa on the Reindeer, consider when you're putting all that together if you want to be able to store things flat, or if you would rather have everything securely glued together. But I just love this. So if you're interested in what's in this tray, I will link episode 24, and you can take a look there. Now, before I get into all the goodies that I brought back from the attic and some really exciting fully finished pieces that I have to show you, I am going to show you my whips, everything that I have worked on for the last few weeks since my last Flosstube episode. Now, in addition to regular Flosstube episodes, I have been putting out Flosstube extra videos on a weekly basis, and they might be a Stitch With Me video, or they might be just a short video about a specific topic. And one that I put out within the last few weeks was all about Mill Hill kits. I have completed dozens of Mill Hill kits. Most of them are now on my Christmas tree. They're ornaments. And this is one kit that I showed in the video that I had not stitched, but I wanted to take you through what is included in a Mill Hill kit. And actually, after that video, I was like, you know what? I really want to stitch that. And so I did, and I love it. It was so fun. I did it in one day. I mean, I didn't do anything else that day, but I made this in one day. I still have to cut it out and add a loop hanger and then add some backing paper. So this will be something that I will fully finish and have on my tree next year. But I wanted to show you guys, I love how the crystals sparkle. There's just a few beads on there, and I really like how this turned out. It was very easy to do, and I think actually I would like to do 2 more and have 3 pine cones and just have them different places on the tree. I mean, knowing now that I did this in a day, I could easily do 2 more of them. I think I would go ahead and just buy 2 more kits. Sometimes with the included items, you can actually, if you have more perforated paper, you can get 2 pieces out of one single kit's worth of materials. But for this one, because it has crystals included, I think I would just go ahead and I did use almost all of 1 or 2 of the DMC colors. So I think I would just go ahead and pay for 2 additional kits. Yeah. And a note on the perforated paper, if you are a Mill Hill stitcher and you like perforated paper, starting, I don't know when, but in the near future, Mill Hill kits will include a PVC material that you stitch on instead of the perforated paper. So either stock up on Mill Hill kits now, or just go buy some perforated paper so that in the future, when you're buying Mill Hill kits, if you want to substitute that PVC material with perforated paper, you have the option to do so. I have some perforated paper, some of this craft brown perforated paper in my stash, but I might just go ahead next time I'm at Always in Stitches or something. If they have another pack of that craft brown, I think I'll just pick that up because it's not super expensive. I think it's under $10 for a pack of a few sheets. So got that done. That was a nice little finish. The biggest thing I worked on within the last few weeks was Jane Wood by Maximum Cross Stitch. And very excitingly, if you watch Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery, if you watch his YouTube channel, he's doing Flossmas Vlogmas again. But today's video was with Ellen from Maximum Cross Stitch. So she just kind of talked about her stitching history, and they talked a lot about birds and what their favorite birds are, and that was cute. But I am very excited about this piece. This was released ahead of Sampler September 2025, and I kitted it up with the paper copy of the chart and the called for Roxy floss through Evertote, and that's Evertote.ca. I think, yes, there is a DMC conversion for you if you want, if you don't want to use the Roxy floss, but I wanted the variegation, and I wanted my piece to look like the model as much as possible because that's what I fell in love with. They showed this model on a few videos and I was like, I gotta have that. When is it coming out? Now, I didn't use the called for linen, but I feel like my substitute is, oh, so good. So good. This fabric was actually a gift from my friend Jem, who is Stitchin' Jem. I would go check out her channel. I will link her below, and she is planning on recording her next Flosstube video in just a couple days. Actually, maybe tomorrow or the next day, yeah. But I'm very happy with how this has turned out. Last time you saw it, oh, I had, I think about that much done. But I worked on it nonstop for several days, like a really long weekend, 4 days I think I worked on this. And the most exciting thing is that I stitched this bird and this little finial, which are, let's see, right here, which means at any time I can start the house. I'm not going to. I'm gonna work down and do some more of the border, and I'm gonna work across and eventually put in that over one verse there. But it's such a treat to know that I really can start that house at any time. And honestly, maybe I should go back and forth between some border and some house, because the house is dense. It is completely filled in, as is the lawn with all those little animals. There's a lot of stitching. So there are about 44,000 stitches in this whole piece, but I suspect the house and the lawn, you know what, I don't even know, well over 10,000 stitches. It's gotta be more, it's gotta be way more in that area. Anyway, I'm very happy with this piece so far. As I say, this is 40 count. This is Thornfield from Needle and Flax. I think it has a nice modeling, but the color isn't, it's not too loud. I don't think it's too loud. I think the colors of the flosses are loud, and I love that. We've got these hot pinks and very saturated blues and reds. I really like it. So very happy with that. On my half a yard of linen. Once I get all the way over to the right top hand corner, I will then determine, you know, my margin from there, and then I'll eventually cut the fabric. But right now I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Okay, speaking of Roxy floss, I started another animal cracker, and I had what I think is a really good idea to convert it to Roxy floss. And I finished, what's the last animal cracker that I finished? Lily? Okay, I sent Lily and 4 other animal crackers off to a finisher who I'm actually going to see at Sampler Symposium. So we kind of worked it out that I would just pick them up there. I'm very excited. So she was like, I can't do these in a hurry. I was like, I don't need them in a hurry. Can you finish them before Sampler Symposium? She's like, oh yeah. And then I can pair in person. So this is Henny Penny. This is a relatively new release from Stacy Nash. Very cute. And I decided that I didn't want to stitch Henny Penny all in linen, but I wanted to stitch her in a bunch of different colors. And I really like what I have come up with here. It's gone pretty quickly. It's so easy. You know, the hardest part is doing the counting on this scalloped edge throughout and on the feather, like, and so far, I don't think I've made any mistakes as far as the counting goes. But then once you've got the scallops in, it's just fill in, and it's very easy. So let me give you the colors that I have chosen for Henny Penny so far. Now, these are all the colors that I have pulled. I have not necessarily put all of these colors in so far. Now, Lollipop is the red, I have put that in. And Croquette is the pink of her cheek. And I went ahead and used that because that is the pink that I used on Lily and I liked it. Butterscotch is the gold of her beak and will be used for her feet as well. I really like that color. So Lollipop, Croquette, Butterscotch. And then these are the colors that I have chosen for her feathers. So, oops. Truffle is the darkest, and that is what I'm using to outline her. The called for, I think, is charcoal, which of course is a dark gray, and I wanted to go something more brown. I wanted my chicken to be in the brown family. Instead of charcoal and linen, I'm using browns. So truffle, as I say, is the outline. And then I've got hickory. This is barley malt, and I did not do this on purpose, but they're all foods. Cremini. All of this looks really good with my sweater, by the way. And biscotti. This one has a slightly pink tone to it. So you will notice here, this one, there's this, and then this, and then this third section. That is the biscotti, the slightly pink one. And I really like that. And that's it. That's it. Those are the colors that I pulled. Very easy. Now you'll notice I don't have a blue pulled for her apron. And that is because when I was pulling colors for Henny Penny, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do with her apron. I know that a lot of people are just stitching, you know, the called for as is. I also know that Christy Crosshedge Quilts and Lori Holt are using actual tiny aprons to put on their chickens, and that is so cute. And I thought something that small I could easily, well, not easily, but I could manage to hand sew a tiny little apron for my tiny little chicken. But then, well, then what happened was I got this big order of Roxy floss in. I just picked a bunch of colors that I wanted. And, oh crap, I need to pull that. I need to show you guys all that floss that I just bought. Okay, hold on. Look at this. A big bundle of beauty. Wow. So I got this order in. I didn't need any of this. I didn't need any of this, but I love it. And one of the things I got 2 skeins of this new highly variegated floss called Maritimes. So pretty, so pretty. So I actually had a cart full of stuff and I was about to order it. I was like probably feeling like a day or two away from ordering it. And then on one of their floss tubes, one of the Evertote notes from the workshop floss tubes, they showed this huge hank of this floss. And they said, well, we'll have it on the website sometime next week. And I was like, great, now I gotta wait until next week to place my order because I wasn't gonna place 2 orders and pay for shipping twice. So I got this. And in thinking about Henny Penny's apron, I thought instead of hand quilting a tiny apron, are we putting way too much thought into these tiny little animal crackers? Yes, but I don't care. Instead of hand quilting a little apron, I thought, well, what if I stitch it so that it looks like a little quilted apron? And what if I make it look like it's pieced with a bunch of different little scraps? And that way I can use all the amazing, wonderful colors that I really have nowhere to put, you know, otherwise. Like this, what is this color? The Cherry Best. And then, what is this? I don't even know what I bought. Ruddy Duck. That's a funny word, or a funny name. And then I've got some awesome greens here. Peridot. Oh, I love that. I love that. And then you've got this fun one. This is Maritimes. Could do something with that. So I am going to stitch Henny Penny with the colors that I have shown you, and then I'm going to do something wild for her apron. And like she's got these ties coming off her back, you can see here, and I'm going to do them in 2 different colors just so it all kind of looks pieced and a little crazy. Yeah. So this chart, Ryan doesn't watch Flosstube with me. He doesn't avoid it, but he doesn't make a point to sit down and watch it, except he loves Caroline's off the grid needle arts. Needle art. Yeah, I'm sorry, Caroline. He watches the Vlogmas with me. Like in November, he was like, oh, it's almost Vlogmas time. And I was like, who are you? Anyway, but as a rule, he doesn't sit down and watch Flosstube with me. But I had Christy's episode on, maybe not the last episode, maybe the one before, I'm not sure. But she showed this, and she showed her chicken. She had all the outline done. She didn't have any of the fill-in done on Henny Penny. But she shows it, and he goes, oh my God, look at that chicken. I said, yeah, thinking I have this. He's like, it's so fat, I love it. I was like, well, good news for you. I have that chart, and I am also very excited to stitch a fat chicken. So, but then also, on the other hand, he's watching me make a frog and a cat and a chicken, and he's like, so, what do you do with these things? I was like, what do you do with anything? What do you do with anything? It's a little friend. And in case there are any questions, this fabric I am stitching on for Henny Penny. This is a 40 count tabby cat. It's just a mystery, misdye, whatever you want to call it. I purchased it in a pack of 4 that I got in Swindon. It's like a yellowy straw color. I thought it'd be perfect for a little chicken lady. But I love that. Love Henny Penny. I'm excited to finish her up. Even though she's much larger than Lily, I felt like she was going very quickly when I was working on her. Next thing I have to show is something that I was working on just last night. Haven't put a ton of work into this since I started it. When I started it, I worked on it for several days straight and got quite a bit of progress made, but then put it down in favor of other things. You know how it goes. This is Emma Wright, 1904. This is a chart that I picked up at the retreat in Swindon. I do not believe that it is yet available on the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website, but you can keep checking back. I'm sure Nicola will release this in the not too distant future. It's very cute. It is 158 stitches wide by 128 stitches high. The model was stitched on, I'm pretty sure, Sleeping Bear. Yeah, Sleeping Bear by Needle and Flax. I have chosen to use 46 count light Sanditon. I'm using the called for 103s. I believe now I have almost all of the called for colors on the fabric. So you kind of get an idea of how bright and colorful it is. But really like this. The border is, you know, it looks kind of intricate, but actually it goes very quickly and is fun to do. It's a very regular. Yeah. Really like that one. So I think I could actually finish this. Let's see, today's the 11th. I do think I could finish this before I have to submit all of my 2025 hats finishes to Nicola for the competition. Now, if you watch Nicola Parkman's latest Flosstube episode, I believe it came out just last weekend, which would have been Saturday the 6th. It's in that video that she tells you the exact email address that you need to send your list of finishes to if you want to be entered to win one of the antique samplers that she'll be offering up. So you can go check that out. I will link the video below if I think of it. Okay, and the last, pretty sure the last whip I have to show you is actually, well, it's no longer a whip, but you hadn't seen it on the last episode. This is a start and a finish. This is MC 1899. This is another Hands Across the Sea Samplers piece. And this is something that Nicola just offered up for free on the Friends of Hands Across the Sea Samplers Facebook page. So if you're interested in getting this little piece, it is free and you could just head to that Facebook page and I think it's under featured and you'll be able to download it right there. Or you'll get the information instructing you how to download it from the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website. But this went really quickly because it is just chock full of Smyrna crosses, which go really quickly. So the entire border is done in Smyrna crosses, as is this diamond here in the center. And if you have never done Smyrna crosses or you want a little bit of instruction, I actually recorded a Stitch With Me video all about Smyrna crosses and I put that up on my YouTube channel. I will link that below. Now this is also on 40 count. And believe it or not, I stitched it in Soie d'Alger. I used 2935. It's like a hot pinky lipstick red. And I thought it really went nicely with this fabric. This is 40 count, as I said. Another mystery tabby cat linen that I got in that aforementioned pack. And normally something that small, I would like to stitch it on 46 or 56 and use this Overa Soie 103s. But I thought just to shake things up, I would go ahead and give Soie d'Alger another try. The thing that I found, and I didn't talk about this on the Smyrna Cross video because I wasn't aware of it at that time, but having finished this, I am. As I reached the end of a strand of thread, a piece of thread, I found that the thread, the silk, was getting really fuzzy, and so it affected the look of the Smyrna crosses. So while my first 10 or 12 Smyrna crosses with a length of Soie d'Alger looked very nice and the lines were distinctive, it had great definition, I found that the longer I went on, the more they lost that definition. So the first time I noticed this, I'm like, oh, I have enough thread to do 3, 4, 5 more Smyrna crosses. This is great, because of course stitching with an 18-inch length on 40 count, you're going to get far fewer stitches than you would with an 18-inch length on 46 or 56 count, which is what I'm used to for small pieces like this. But as I was putting in what I thought would be my final Smyrna crosses for that first length of thread, I found that they were like really puffy and lost definition. They just looked like little blobs on the fabric. So I actually went back and unstitched those and then just tied off my thread. So what I found was that because I'm stitching on 40 count, I got fewer stitches than I would have on 46 and 56 count, but actually I got even fewer stitches than I thought I should have, because I had to stop my thread when I had quite a bit left, I thought. So while I love the finished product on this, I'm not crazy about the experience, and I'm not crazy about the thread waste, because with 103s, and if you are not familiar, this is another Overa Soie product, but this is the 100.3. This is a twisted, highly twisted silk, very tight. There it is, 100, and it's 0.3 or 100/3 on websites or when it's written. This I can use usually until like I have so little thread left I can't bother to move my needle. Like that's how long it lasts. And with 103s, I stitch with really long pieces of thread. Like I will start with a piece of thread that's about 24 inches or more if I feel like it. So just a different experience. I know a lot of people really love Soie d'Alger, and maybe it's because they like the finished product, maybe it's because they like the experience, but I think in stitching this, I have come to a definitive conclusion that it is not for me. I am still so attracted to it though at the store, because you see the skeins and they look so pretty. And so I do think that at some point I'm going to kit up something small, a really small sampler, like another Marianne Groom or something like that with Soie d'Alger, just because I like the finished product, but it's not something that I want to use all the time. So something to consider if you have never used, if you haven't used both of those types of silks, or if you haven't used any silks, or if you're definitely in the 103 camp or the Soie d'Alger camp, just differences there. Okay, I think that's all the whips, finishes, whatever I have to show you. So before I get into my attic trip, I want to show you some fully finished items that I got back from Fabrics. Just a few weeks ago, I sent some small samplers off to Finisher Fabrics, and just a couple days ago, I got a big, beautiful box full of stuff. So I am so excited to share this with you. Now, since we were just talking about small samplers and how I usually stitch them on 56 count or 46 count, these will be perfect examples to show you. So I am sorry, it does seem like the light is pretty bad and it's getting a little grainy, but I still hope that you can see this. These are all by Hands Across the Sea samplers. This first one, this is Fanny Hussey. This chart was included in the first red box, the Letters from Europe, so it is not available, but you might be able to find it on his D-Stash site or be able to borrow it from a friend. So cute. And I stitched this on 56 count creme brulee by Tabby Cat, and I used the called for 103, which I think might have been $4.99. I'm not sure it was $6.44, but really pretty. Love the red. And then Faye added, I just let her pick the trim and the backing fabric, and my God, it's always perfect. And she put a little pocket on this one. And then she also added this little pin, a little bird, so cute. Yeah. All right, the next one, this is available. So this was an exclusive. This is Fanny Louisa Parker. This was an exclusive. This is something that attendees of some past workshop got. I don't know, I didn't go. I was given the chart by a friend, but then shortly after I started stitching this or finished it or something, it was released. So if you are interested in this, you can get it. I know that Hobby House sells it. I don't know if any other shop has it, and I don't even know if it's on the Hats website, but I do know that Hobby House sells it, and I think that's because it was one of their workshops that it was given to the attendees. Oh, look at that fabric. And then she added this beautiful trim, and then she added the pin as well. This is stitched on, you know what, I don't even remember, a cream fabric. And I used the called for, which I think is 523, 100.3, 523. Now this, okay, Faye knows that I love this fluffy edging. I'm so glad she used it again for one of these. This is AWE. This, you've either got it or you don't got it. So for the 2026 Hats calendar, there was a PDF of a small chart included with your purchase. This was the chart. So this is something that a lot of people are using for their blessing sampler because it's so small. And I keep seeing a lot of questions. I just answered one on a Facebook group. I think it was just this morning. There was a lot of question about what is the blessing sampler? What is the blessing sampler going to be? There is no the blessing sampler. A blessing sampler is just a sampler that you choose to stitch within the month of January. You can start on the 1st, you can start sometime later in the month, but the idea is that you start and finish within the month of January, and it's supposed to like bring good juju to your stitching, whatever. But just pick something small, something that you think you can finish within the month, and you'll be good. I stitched this on a 56 count tabby cat linen, again from a, you know, just mystery pack of stuff that I got at Swindon. It is a pink tone fabric, very, very light pink tone fabric. And I used a bright red 100.3. I bet I used 664 or something very close, maybe 681. And I just stitched it as is, as charted. When I stitch samplers that will be framed, I add a signature because it's going to be under glass. And even though it looks like an antique, it's not, and I don't want it to get confused in the future. So I put a small signature on it that has an initial and then the last 2 digits from the year in which I stitched it. But for little pillows and things like this, I don't bother putting my signature on it. I just love how this turned out. And then she put a velveteen on the back. Look at that. Yeah. Okay, and the last 2 pieces I have to show, I will show them together because they're a nice little pair. Oh, so good. So my only instructions to Faye in this whole batch that I sent her was please finish Emma Hubbard and Martin Noah Hubbard the exact same way. And that's what she did. And look at this fabric that she had. It's green with purple flowers. And I stitched this on, because these are so tiny, I did not stitch these on 56. I stitched them on 46, and they're still this small. Like, look how small they are. And I stitched this on 46 count Casterbridge by Tabby Cat, which if you're looking for Casterbridge, the attic has it. I saw it there last weekend. And it's a very pretty, it's like a very, very pale apple green. Very nice. So I love the trim that Faye picked and how she couched that ribbon along the edge. She added the little pins. Again, she chose the fabric and added the pockets. She did just a fabulous, fabulous job. And Faye, thank you so much for getting these done before the holidays. I know this is like everybody's worst time of year, but I really appreciate it because in probably just a couple weeks, we've got this whole big trip coming up with the kids for the holidays. We're taking them to Disney World. Jordan asked me, she's like, well, have you gotten anything for Ryan for Christmas? And I said yes, when he has to go to Disney World. That is his gift. That is his gift. But my plan is late December, early January to do a 2025 hats finish parade. And so I will have these to show you. I thought about just saving these and showing them on that video, but no, I'm going to show them on this video too, because you will never get tired of seeing these tiny little beautiful things. And I also heard from my framer, who has a bunch of my pieces right now, that she's finishing up things, and I think I might be able to go get them. She's just in Ohio, so I'm just going to go get them because it's several pieces. I might be able to go get them as early as next week. Fingers crossed. So I'm very excited about that. Excited to show you guys every hats piece that I finished in 2025. So look for that in the next couple weeks. So now that I've gone through all that, I am going to go ahead and tell you all about my wonderful trip to the attic. So as I say, I went out there to meet Jordan, Tattooed Stitcher. I will link her channel below. She and I started talking, I don't even know when we started chatting. It was around the beginning of the year or something. And so we just started kind of texting, chatting. We had a couple phone calls. We've exchanged charts and stuff. And we were talking about getting together. And well, you're going to this retreat and I'm going to this retreat, and yeah, also talking about retreat fees and do we want to sign up for something else. And then we kind of decided that we would rather just go somewhere and meet up and do some shopping and just like spend time with each other rather than focus on a retreat and, you know, put money into that. So we kind of played with the idea of going to Shepherd's Bush because I have never been there, but she has been there. It's not very near, but it's near-ish to where she lives. But then the attic came up and she was like, I've never been to the attic. And I said, well, I've only been to the attic once and it was crazy. So I would really like to go back, and I'd really like to go back when there's nobody there. So we picked a weekend that we thought would be good for us and good for our husbands. And so we decided on that first Saturday in December. And for the longest time, it felt like it was ages away, but actually then it came up and it was like, oh my God, it's just next week. Oh my God, it's this week. And we had a lot of fun. So Jordan's last video that she just put out a couple days ago, she goes over her experience and you can go and watch that. But it was nice. We just talked about, we talked about other stuff. We talked about family. We talked about, you know, like you do, gross, like unhappy things, right? You're kind of bonding over all sorts of things. But the best thing was that we just were so excited to be there and go to the attic and shop and just enjoy each other's company and breakfast food. Because I was kind of like, I was trying to make food plans before we even got there, because apart from shopping, like I need to know where my next meal is coming from. I gotta know. So I was like, well, how about this place for breakfast and how about this place for dinner? And then you can pick the dinner the night before and all this. So yeah, so we both got in on Friday night and I got a rental car and we went to go get some burgers at Four Peaks Brewery, which was excellent. And they had a great Coke mix and the burgers were really good. The fries were, I told Ryan, probably the second best fries I've ever had. He said, where are the first? And I said, at Nordstrom in Indianapolis. He's like, really? It's like, yeah, there's this Cafe Bistro in Nordstrom here in Indianapolis. And I swear to God, the best fries I've ever had. They're so good. And there's this woman who's worked there for years. And every time I go in there, she's like, hey, honey. It's like, hi, Sonia. Yeah. So I appreciate some really good fries. They were very good. And then, yeah, the next morning we went out to breakfast. We went to Over Easy and I got a Monte Cristo. I had never had one before. It was amazing. It's delicious. 10 out of 10. And then we went to the attic. And at first I thought, are we going to be able to kill 6 hours? And then before I knew it was like, oh my God, they close in an hour. So Jordan did some damage. It was great. She seemed really happy with all of her purchases. I got a couple things that my mom requested for her, and this is no surprise. So these are like her Christmas presents, but she asked for them. This is the attic chalkboard sampler piece. This is charted by Amy. This is Flossie. And I wish Amy had been there because I was hoping to get her to sign this, but she wasn't there that day. That's okay. And this is stitched on 36 count Tabby Cat Windsor Castle linen, which is not black. It is dark, but it's not black. And my mom requested something black and something that she could see. So I got a 20 count black Ada, and this is just as Weigart, black Ada. And then I got actually the called for dinky dyes in natural. And because the model was stitched with 2 skeins on 36 count, and I got a 20 count Ada, which equals a 40 count linen, I figured the 2 skeins would be enough. But Mom, if you end up running out, it's no big deal. We can just get another skein of this. I don't think the dye lot would matter for something like that. But I did tell her, I was looking at this big wall of silks. I was like, I really want to get something more exciting than natural. But she saw this chart in one of the Addicts videos and got really excited about it. She's like, can you get that when you're there? I'm like, yes, also you can just call them. But I got it when I was there. And so I think she'll be very excited. And then Mom, I also got you this, act surprised, I got you this little charm to put on a bag or something. It says Attic Needlework, where samplers rule. And I know these laser engraved things are like all the rage now. You can get a laser engraved something from every shop. But the Addicts pieces are done on really nice wood. It's finished very nicely. Here is my corner gauge actually from the Attic. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's very smooth. It's finished nicely. And so when I saw that they had these, I got one of those for Mom as well. And before I forget, because I know I'm gonna get questions because they're peeking out right here, these hoops, all of the hoops that I use are Hardwicke Manor hoops, and you can purchase them at hoopandframe.com when they're in stock. That is always the trouble. They're not always in stock. And a couple of them I have wrapped in twill tape. And this twill tape is just something you can get through Access Commodities, also Hoop and Frame. I bought a pack of twill tape from Keepsakes in Ohio. But yes, these Hardwicke Manor hoops, there's the logo. I always get questions about them if I show them on the video, so I figured just get ahead of that. Okay, also at the Attic, I picked up this new Shakespeare's Peddler chart. This is the Checkerboard House Sampler. Now, I put together a video tour of the Attic, and that is also up on my channel. I will link that below. I posted it just a few days ago. And there's a nice shot of this model because it's right there by the door. It's huge because the model was stitched on 40 count linen, which, you know, you would think, oh, 40 count, it's not gonna be huge, except the stitch count is 258 by 358. So this is a big girl. Now, I was hoping to be able to get the floss pack when I was there, but they said they're waiting on silks for it. The model is stitched in, yes, Auvera Soie d'Alger. I don't want to use Soie d'Alger, as we talked about. Not for something this large. So I would like to get the 103s for this. And because it's such a big chart, it's such a big piece, I'm not going to just pull from stash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email the Attic, say I want that floss pack, and hopefully I'll be able to pick it up when I'm there for Sampler Symposium in January. Hopefully they'll have the floss pack by then. But this is Shakespeare's Peddler. You can get this on kittenstitcher.com, which is Teresa Vanette, Shakespeare's Peddler, Kitten Stitcher. That's her website. So if you want a PDF, you can order it there. She also has hard copies, but the Attic has hard copies as well. So I was very happy to get that. It is stitched on cow fodder. And looking at the model in person, I actually really didn't like that color. So it's like a yellow green, which is not inherently bad. It just somehow, to my eye, I did not like it. So I think I'll probably get, maybe I'll get Scrimshaw from Cedar River. Ooh, yeah, that'd be pretty. Okay, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. And then the other thing that I was very happy to get the whole kit for is this Anne Wildman's work 1839. Now this photo is of the antique and it does not do it justice, I swear. They had the model there and I think the model was stitched on 40 count. The information is here, but I've got some things blocking it. Look at those pretty colors. So a lot of gold, but then you have those nice pops of pinks and a tiny little bit of blue. But as I said, I saw the model, not the antique. I didn't order this when they first showed it on their videos, the attic videos, because I wasn't sure. I liked the weirdness of it. I like the weird animals, but I thought at that time, Jordan and I had already made our plans. So I thought when I go, I'll check out the model, and if I love it, I'll get it there. And I did, and I did. And I got the Flosstube actually, because unfortunately they only had 4 kits ready to go. They had one that was with Ada and DMC, and they had 2 that were kitted up with the Flosstube and 56 count. And then they had one that was kitted up with either a 40 or a 46 count with the over-dyed silks. And I didn't want the over-dyed silks. So I went ahead and got the Flosstube because my thinking was that even if I didn't want to use the Flosstube, it would be very easy for me to convert it to SWA 103s, because Flosstube numbers are 4 digits and they all start with 2. Now, if you drop off that 2, you're left with 3 digits, and that is the SWA 103 equivalent. So if something is 2664 in Flosstube, it's 664 in SWA 103. So easy enough to do, and I'm not sad to have more Flosstube in my stash. So I think I almost ripped into this the other night. It's like, I don't need another new start, but it comes with Lakeside linen. Sorry about the shaking. Comes with Lakeside linen. It is Vintage Light Exemplar by Lakeside, and I just wanted to touch it. So I was thinking about putting a few stitches into this, but then I thought, no, I want to show you how pretty it is all kitted up. So I left it as is. Do I really need a new start right now? No. Did I need to buy that? No. But I did anyway. Okay, I will show you the last kit that I got, and then I'll show you the few pieces of fabric, and that'll be it. Oh, wait, I forgot something. Okay, this chart. I have always loved this chart. I'm not a big fan of Blackbird. I know, don't come at me. Don't come at me. But there is something about this chart that I love. It's probably all the birds and the weird Canada geese. I really like this piece. And they had a model, a framed model in the store. I'll insert a photo here because it was beautiful. I think it was stitched on 46 or 56. It was tiny, and it was still stitched with variegated flosses. So I don't know if it must have been variegated silks. That's what I would think. So I thought I could stitch this with painter's threads, which are 103s that have been over dyed and they're variegated. Some of them are highly variegated. Or I could use the luminescence from Gloriana, which is a range of over dyed 103 threads. And look at that. Now, if you haven't watched Jordan's video, you don't know what this is for, but I'm going to tell you. When we were there, she saw a stitched Amelia Boyce. This is from the Scarlet Letter. I don't know how old this chart is, but I know it's at least 2 years old, because when I was there in January of 2024, I saw that same stitched model and fell in love with it, and it's what made me buy the chart. So Jordan sees this thing and she's like, oh my goodness, I love that. What is it? And I was like, I know what it is, because I bought that chart for the same reason. And she's like, well, what if we kit this up? Because I hadn't kitted it up. And the attic had a conversion for over-dyed silks, like variegated silks, because the called for are either Soie d'Alger, or DMC. And so we were kind of looking at the silk wall. We took the list that the attic had for their conversion, and then we actually just kind of used that as a jumping off point. And it was so fun to sit there for like an hour with Jordan and just pull colors off the wall. So, and then Sherry brought the model over to us at the table there. I'll insert a photo. And we were able to lay silks, like compare to what was called for and lay them on the model and see what we liked and what we didn't like. And so there's even one point where Jordan and I decided on all the same colors, except there's one particular brown area, and she really liked this floss color, and I really wanted the one that was more variegated. And so we went with 2 different things, but otherwise we chose all the same ones. It's so pretty. The saddest thing is, though, that there was one color for which we had chosen Blueberry by Gloriana, and I still want that color. but then we couldn't find, there was nothing else in that same color family to go with the blueberry. So we ended up going with some different blues for one particular part. I still like what we chose. I just missed that blueberry. It was so pretty. Yeah, but really fun to sit and pick all these colors. And I'll be excited to start using these. I'll be excited to test them out because I really love stitching with 103s. I have used these 103s right off the spool, and then I've used the painter's threads, which are overdyed 103s, but I've never used the Gloriana Luminescence. So I'm excited to get to these. It's gonna be sad though when I have to like untwist these and rip them all apart. But oh, they're so pretty. And then I put, just for funsies, I put a mini McBeans for Brie. This is one that I purchased in Swindon. That is an image from Jane Backhouse, which was our Swindon exclusive. So that should be released by Hats in about a year. And if you're interested in seeing all the stuff that I got in Swindon, you can go back and check out that video. It is a really long one. It's like an hour and 45 minutes or something ridiculous. And then this is the fabric that I pulled, oh, so good, that I pulled for Amelia Boyce. This is a Swan Bay fabric, Eleanor's Ivory, a 46 count linen. So pretty, so pretty. I think Jordan is going with, you know what, I don't remember, so I'm not gonna say. Don't remember, but she's happy with her choice. And I'm really happy with my choice. I wanted something very clean. And if you're interested in Swan Bay Fabrics, which you should be, because they're very nice, very nice. Marie of Swan Bay, she is now offering a fabric club, and I'm very tempted to join. But you can check out her website. It is just swanbayfabrics.com, I believe. The website is not on here, but you can see right there on the logo Swan Bay. And this is Eleanor's Ivory. I have purchased Eleanor's Ivory, light sanditon, dark sanditon. I have a piece of Pemberley I forgot about. I found that in a drawer, so I pulled that out. And then I also bought a piece of Barton Clay, but I gifted that to a friend. But that is really pretty, very dramatic piece. Okay, well, now that I've shown you those things, I am gonna show you the few pieces of fabric that I bought from the attic, and that'll be it. We'll kind of wrap it up. This is a piece of 46 count. This is a Stitcher's half, 46 count Superstition Shadows. Superstition Shadows. You can see there. This is a new exclusive to the attic. That's my understanding. And I got a half a yard. Beautiful. Great sampler color. It's not super light, but I think you could put just about anything on it. I think this would be great for a red sampler. I think this would be good for a polychrome sampler, all sorts of things. Yeah, like that. So I was not sorry to get a half a yard of that. Now these other pieces, I got two pieces that were just offcuts, and then I got a piece of something that I had never seen in person before. Now this is 56 count Down the Rabbit Hole by Tabby Cat Linen. And I got this because it's just a nice little eighth. They don't usually cut eighths, but for whatever reason, they did have some offcuts in the store. So I got this. Now, the reason I got it was because I love it. I love the color, but also because I was very interested to compare it to Down the Rabbit Hole that I already have. If you guys remember, early on in the year, I purchased two pieces of Down the Rabbit Hole from Hobby House. I got a piece of 56 and a piece of 46. Yeah. And they are so different than that piece that I got from the attic. So this is the 56 that I got from Hobby House earlier this year. And this is the piece I got from the attic. I would call that a different color. I would call that a different color. I love them both. I actually like this one better, so I was very happy to find it. But yeah, both labeled with the same name. So that just illustrates, you know, how different dye lots can be. So I don't want to say buyer beware when you're buying fabric online, because I have purchased some fabric that when it comes in, I'm surprised to find that it's not at all what I was expecting. But I've never been mad to have a piece of fabric. I just have to find a different use for it than what I was originally planning. So it's good to buy fabric in person if you can, but if you can't, there are so many good options online. And if you can purchase a few different things at one time, then maybe you'll have something that works for whatever project you're trying to kit up. Now this is a 46 count. This is a fat eighth of Bee's Knees by Seraphim. I do love this color. This reminds me of, oh, is it Vintage Sand Dune? This doesn't have quite the same modeling, but it does remind me of Vintage Sand Dune. And I can only say that because I happen to have one piece of 56 count Vintage Sand Dune. But very nice golden brown color. I think that'll be a great sampler color. The last piece of fabric that I got was actually because I know that it's called for at least 2 or 3 hats pieces. And whether or not I end up using them for those hats pieces, that's up to me. But I just wanted to have this because I like the fabric anyway. This is Tabby Cat Wood Smoke, and this is a 56 count. I got a Stitcher's Quarter. It is kind of a greenish gray. Actually, what do you guys think? Oh yeah, okay. I think we have a winner. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that, I like that. As long as my geese show up. But I know this is called for in Mrs. Campbell. I was gonna say Hannah Campbell. God, no, I'm not stitching that again. But Mrs. Campbell, and I know at least a couple other things. That's it. That's what I got from the attic. And I had a great time with Jordan. We're already talking about what our next trip will be. We're trying to rope in a couple other people. So it's really good. So Ryan asked me afterwards, like we were sitting on the couch the next day, and he was kind of asking me about my, because I got in so late. I was supposed to be home at 9:30 p.m. on Sunday, and I didn't get home until 2 a.m. That's when I got in. Yeah, not great. Lots of delays, lots of delays. That's okay. Anyway, so Ryan and I were talking about my weekend, and he was like, so like an 11 out of 10? And I said, well, a 10 out of 10, because we really should have had 2 days at the attic. But it was our first trip together. It was our first time meeting in person. And so you don't really know how you're going to feel about a new roommate and stuff. So I think it was fine that we did 2 nights in 1 day. But if you are making a trip to the attic and you've never been before, or you've only been, like me, if you've only been during a retreat when the store is really busy and you don't have tons of help and everything, and it's just hard to get through everything, I would suggest if you're making the trip to make it at least 2 shopping days. And while they're regular hours, they're only open to the public Fridays and Saturdays. If you call, you can make an appointment for other days in the week, because oftentimes there are people there working, they're filling orders and they're answering emails and stuff like that. They just don't have the doors open to the public. So if you're gonna go, if you're thinking about going, I would suggest 2 days of shopping time. And there is a really great Italian restaurant right in the same parking lot, that same shopping complex. It's called La Familia. And I got to go there on the first trip and had a couple slices of pizza. This time Jordan and I split a pizza. We got some garlic knots, we got Caesar salads, and they had great Coke. They had great Coke. So it was really fun. If you can go. But I just want to let you guys know, remind you that I will be at Sampler Symposium. So if you are going and you want to introduce yourself, that'd be great. Come over and say hi. I plan to go in on Wednesday, so maybe I will be at the shop on Thursday. But if not, whoever else is going, I'll get to see you at the retreat at the hotel on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right. So I think I will leave you there. Please check out my other videos on my YouTube channel. I will link the mentioned ones below, as well as the other channels I mentioned. I'll link them below. And please, if you have any comments or questions, you can leave them, or you can find me on Instagram at StitchStitchBead. You can also send me an email if you prefer. I put that information below. One more thing, I just remembered, I need to look at my notes. I need to be better about looking at my notes. But a few weeks ago, a lovely lady named Edith reached out to me. She has an online shop where she sells PDF charts. And while Edith's charts are not samplers, she is not a reproductionist, she has original designs. She reached out to me to let me know that she really loves my Flosstube, and I checked out her shop. And I will link that below, because I know that even though I'm showing almost exclusively samplers, I've got some other fun smalls thrown in, but I know that I watch channels where people show things I will never stitch. So maybe you're in that same boat and you watch my channel because you like me or my stories or whatever it may be, but you're not necessarily a sampler stitcher. Maybe you will enjoy Edith's designs. So check her out. She is Harmony Home and Heart. And as I say, I will link her online shop below if you want to check that out. But anything else, just leave me a question, comment, whatever it may be. And also, I wanted to let you guys know one more note. Sorry, before I let you go. On the attic tour video, whatever you may see in that tour video, if you find it and you love it, if you can identify it, then reach out to the ladies in the attic, call them, send them an email, whatever it may be, and you can order it through them. But I don't work at the attic. I'm not affiliated with the attic. They were just nice enough to let me take some videos that I then spliced together. Also, there is a weird audio anomaly on that video. There's some noise in the music track that YouTube decided needed to be auto-dubbed to English because it thinks it's Hindi. It's not Hindi. It's not. So when you're watching the attic video tour, if you go to watch it, you will see that there's the little thing in the corner that looks like a cog. It's your settings button. Click settings and then go to audio track, and then you'll see that there is an English and a Hindi original. Click on Hindi original and you will hear the audio as it is supposed to be heard. I am so sorry about that. My mother made it very clear that it was very annoying. Very annoying. Thanks, Mom. Yeah. But I hope you guys enjoy that video nonetheless. And I plan to come back with a couple more Flosstube extra videos before the end of the month. And then hopefully I will have my 2025 Hats Finish Parade either at the end of December or early January, to be determined. So, but thank you so much for coming along on this wild cross-stitchy ride. I'll talk to you guys next time. Happy stitching.